This fuzzy plant is called Hoya affinis, and I have to say that I've only had this for about a year, and it's growing pretty good. I mean, I don't know actually much about the natural history of this plant, but I do know that it's native only to the Solomon Islands. And generally, Hoyas that have a little bit of a fuzzier stem are a bit more difficult to propagate, and I have to say, I have not tried actually propagating this one. But given the fact that it has this a little bit more succulent nature, that it has a little bit of fuzzier leaf, that it has this kind of chlorophyll on the stem, I actually am growing this maybe only 1.5 feet away from my southwest facing window, and this little end of this tendril is actually reaching out towards the light. So this tells me that this is a plant that probably requires a little bit more like 70 to 90% full sun. So it's a type of Hoya that prefers actually a sunnier condition as well to like compared to like a more moderate light, I would have to say. As far as watering this goes, because I'm giving it a little bit more of a southwestern exposure, I am watering this a little bit more frequently. I would say like once a week, but mind you, it is getting a little bit more intense sunlight. And you could see that I have a little bit more of a barkier mix. I have some perlite in here because I don't want these roots sitting in water. That is a surefire way to actually destroy your Hoya. Most Hoyas actually don't like to be with soggy roots. So make sure that you have a well-draining mix for this particular plant. As far as humidity goes, there's not much humidity in the room that I'm growing this particular plant in. So I would say that this doesn't require a tremendous amount of humidity, and maybe in the islands where it's growing, it's accustomed to growing with a little less humidity. Although I have to say, if it's given a little bit higher humidity, it might actually do fine. It's just not my experience, and I haven't had that kind of experience with this particular plant. But if you're growing it and you have a different kind of experience, then I would love to hear whether you are growing it in slightly different conditions. As far as fertilizing goes, Hoya are generally not big feeders, so you could do something on a monthly basis. I do mine on a little bit more of a bi-weekly basis, and I give it a bit more of an organic fertilizer because it's just a little bit of a gentler fertilizer, and I don't want to over-fertilize my Hoyas. And when and if this actually starts to bloom, because I have not had this long enough for it to bloom, and I actually don't even know what the blooms look like, I will probably increase with a little bit of more phosphorus, because that's what I typically do with my Hoyas and to promote a little bit more of those blooms. I haven't had any pest pressures since having this particular plant, and I would have to say that mealybugs might be a possibility for this particular plant, but I have not had that experience at all, and luckily. And otherwise, I'm really excited to grow this because I don't have a lot of furry varieties of Hoya, and this is definitely one of my furrier ones.